I love that. Check your circle intentionally, but also, Miss China, check it for the lack of accountability, right? Angie said the accountability. Guess what, y'all? Check. Hey, be honest with yourself. Cause you ever be around, I'm about to lose. Yeah, I'm about to forget where I'm at. Like, you ever be around people? I know I'm doing wrong when people say, see, that's why I like you. I get to be myself. You be like, we heard when they start high-fiving in the danger zone. That's why I like hanging out with you. You just let me wild out. Like, oh Lord, yeah, Tori, yeah, that's why I like hanging out with you. Yeah, that to me, 12/7, when people, because I used to say that myself. I wanted to be around the people who let me do my dirt. Rosie, don't be coming around me with your little happy, your little buttoned up, all nice and neat. But it's not even like that, y'all. That's the guilt, right? So for me, I feel like that was part of my healing too, right? Finding the right circle, the people who get my journey, And Rumi, I'm sure you can relate. In the very beginning when I stopped drinking, y'all, my friends were paranoid. They'd be like, can I drink around you? Could I put this away? I'm like, 12/7. They were like paranoid. I'm like, it's okay, y'all. It's like, I'm not going it's okay. But I get that, right? Some people don't know. And that's the reason I wanted to do all of this. When I first started this, y'all, I was wrecking my brain. Like, we got to normalize this conversation. Because we were like, so you don't drink at all? So not like a little bit? Like, we need to go over what sober means. It's such an interesting concept to people, right? It's like, people also think that it means you're like boring now. You don't do nothing. You're like, we'll say this today, I sit alone. I love that. Look, 12/7, not even shots. That's it. They do this. And I don't mean to, you gotta laugh to keep from crying, but that's what makes it relatable, y'all. And it makes it fun to talk about. Like, it's okay, right? It's okay to talk about the shows we grew up watching. I wrote about that, y'all, in my book. I wrote about it because I talked about it in therapy. I talked about my interpretation. Like Nick, yeah, honey child moment. Nick said, I thought drinking alcohol. Imagine how many kids hear the word alcohol. Y'all, when I started hearing the word spirits, why they call them spirits? It's like certain terminology. We never heard the word alcoholic. I heard drunk. He's a drunk. She's a drunk. They're a drunkard. That's it. Or are they out there on that stuff? That was the person who's addicted to substances, right? Other things. You never really heard people talk about what it meant either, right, Gigi? So like I said, Mental Health Awareness Month, where's the awareness that we're talking about, right? Y'all know how I feel about social media and like the news and stuff. It's a negative connotation for the most part. I think after 2020, it became a little lighter, right, Tori? You started seeing better help and things online after COVID. They've normalized it, but it's like, man, we got to get this stuff in our schools heavy. We got to get, hey, how am I feeling? What am I feeling? And why needs to be a requirement on the way into the building. Everybody if you feeling a little left today, you go to that side. Start out in counseling today, right? Y'all, I follow a couple of different platforms, and I just love that some people are trying to make waves and make like, hey, let's talk about this stuff. And I know in the Black community, obviously that's what I can relate to, obviously. So I try not to niche myself there either. However, that is pulling me because I'm a Black woman who went through this and was in AA, Nick, looking around that room like, I know it's more Black women that drink or more Black men. Like, there were no Black people. And I'm literally going to different meetings. Wrote about that, right? Remember in my book, I wrote about how many meetings I went to and was just kind of like, what is going on here? Guess what? Ding, ding, ding. We're not talking about it, Dana. We're brushing it under the rug, which is why everybody back home is whispering about you right now. Did you hear about Dana? Y'all heard about Dana? That's some good stuff, right? That's some good gossip. Y'all know I always throw that out there. Homecoming queen, first Black Miss Teen Lake Wells. That ended up in the psych unit, Cassie. That was some good gossip. But that's why when I was in that psych unit, guess what I talked to God about? Hey, when and if I make it out of here, I'm gonna be loud and proud. I'm gonna keep talking about it because it's time. Because for me to go 8 years like that, not knowing where to go, y'all. Not only was I embarrassed, I just didn't know who to talk to. I didn't have anyone in my family that I could call and be like, hey, auntie such and such. Y'all know I said such and such yesterday. Yeah, Gigi. Yeah, I didn't have any aunts, uncles, my mom, dad, and each person after the fact had a beautiful testimony. Even my mom, y'all, I wrote about that. My mom told me she stood in the mirror one day and had a come to Jesus moment by herself about alcohol. I had no clue, and I'm like, well, dang, I wish I would have known, but it's like, guess what? I didn't say anything. They didn't see anything. I'm up here in Jacksonville working, winning awards. They like, my baby doing good. I'm not telling them what's going on. Come on, 12-7, there's hope for you too. If it's still like that, 12-7, and I'm over here 9 years sober, there's still hope for you. I talk about that in my third book a lot, about family secrets, the unspoken secrets, the unspoken rules in families. For me, it was you knew not to tell your business. That's what it was called. You better not go out there telling our business. You would get that every once in a while, but once that was stated, you knew the rules, right? It was almost a look too. Something could go down, you get that look, secret. And for me, thankfully, y'all, fortunately for me, I've got 4 siblings. Well, it's 4 of us still living, 3 siblings, but we're really close. We still talk almost every day. I talk to my brother every single day. My other 2 siblings, we talk every week, but we talk on our thread every single day. A lot of these podcasts, there's some really painful stuff surfacing, right? A lot of celebrities coming out saying stuff that happened, and it's like people are like, whoa, but that's what's happening. We're the generation of healing. I think people are really waking up to the fact, again, that you don't have to suffer that long. You don't have to suffer alone. I saw a post I follow. If you haven't followed, there's one on TikTok, guys. I'm gonna try to start reposting more, but it's Black Men in Mental Health, I think. I follow them just yesterday. It was just a picture. The guy sitting there with his mom, and all it said in the caption was, all growing up, I thought my mom had an anger problem. Guess what? It was about mental health, right? My brother sent me one yesterday. I think it was on The Breakfast Club. Another, like a rapper, was talking about how his mom or somebody had bipolar. So when he went to the doctor, he's calling his mom, Mom, have you ever? Because he said, the doctor said, call your mom. The doctor knew it ran in their family. You feel what I'm saying? So we are not talking, right? We've stigmatized these things. Good morning, Lisa. Right? So now we don't want to admit, I was diagnosed with this. I was diagnosed with this. Because then, guess what? The people in our family or the people in our circle or the people who don't know are going to tell you what they think. They're going to tell you what they've heard. They're going to tell you what happened with their cousin. There you go, Angie. Fear of being judged. And there's nothing wrong with, number one, getting help. Right? There's nothing wrong with getting help and breaking those cycles of toxicity. That's really what it is. It's toxic to be in environments where you can't thrive. It just is. It's toxic. Break the cycle, Gigi. And I don't call it curses, y'all. I hope I'm saying that a lot so people can actually start picking up on that too. I don't really feel like it's just we all around here breaking some curses. I feel like it's cycles that have to break. You literally have to say, okay, you know what? In our family, we're not gonna do that every Sunday, right? You grew up doing certain things. And it's okay for Christmas, we're not gonna eat this food that auntie and such shouldn't be eating. They're gonna end up in the ER tonight. Anyway, y'all, let's get into some old school.